It's now 9:37. We're going to go ahead and get started. And
Recording in progress.
Rush out of here. So we want to make sure that we're timely, and we've changed a little bit of how we're going to go through the agenda to ensure that that happens. So thank you for being here. Amy, if you could do roll call, please.
Vicky Cartwright, Kathy Donnelly,
Present.
Beam Fur,
Here.
Kenneth Gillespie, David Kenton,
Here.
Donna Korn, Don Liberta,
Present.
Tom Powers, Maria Schneider, Paula Thatchy, Jeffrey Wood.
Here.
A quorum has been established.
Thank you, Amy. And just a little bit of a reminder, especially we're back to masks. We have to speak clearly and into the microphone so all of our folks can hear us everywhere else. Thank you. So if we could just take a moment to arrive. Thank you. So first and foremost, we're very excited to welcome Dr. Vicky Cartwright from the new superintendent from the Broward County School Board. So typically we would pin her and present her with this great Children's Service Council pin. However, we're doing it from afar. So she's received the pin. We appreciate you being here and look forward to working with you. Thank you so much. Okay, second, and maybe the most important conversation we need to have so far is that in September we have 2 trim hearings. It is extremely important that we have quorum of board members here. So if we could please put this on our calendar. Amy's gonna be reaching out to make sure that we have the board members that we need present so we can move forward. These aren't things that we can really reschedule, so it's really quite important that we're able to get through it. Thank you. So I'm gonna move on to Cindy's report.
Okay. While I love starting the meetings with the good of the order, because I think it sets the right tone, in the interest of time, I'm going to move it till after the consent agenda. So you're just going to have to wait for all the good news, because I want to make sure that we can get our votes in while we have everyone here. So I'm going to move to item B, which is behind tab S in your packet, and the budget update. So this process is very complicated. When it comes to setting the millage rate, it's an interesting and intricate game that you can't know the specific details of it until the final property appraiser's form comes in and the final the form, the DR 420, comes in that does all its magic with formulas that would break your heads if I tried to explain it, and Monty would probably shoot me. But in any case, as a result of all of that, it turns out that the rollback rate is slightly higher than what we had anticipated. So if you look at this chart, the first column shows where we are today. Today, our millage rate is 4,882. 95% of that generates 98,384,555. When we met in May, and we estimated what the rollback would be, we thought the rollback would be 0.4658, which would generate roughly the same amount of money, which is what rollback means. But when the actual numbers came in and everything happens with the value adjustment board, et cetera, it turns out that the rollback rate is slightly higher, 4,699, and does generate a little bit more money. Some of that also has to do with CRAs. And so it generated about 888,000 more dollars, which in order to present the balanced budget as you had passed it, we reduced what we were taking from fund balance by a commensurate amount, leaving the dollar amount flat. So I wanted you to know that. Overall, bottom line is the same, just the rollback rate is slightly higher. You can bring it lower if you so choose. This is the number that's going to show up at the trim. It is not considered a tax increase. It's going to roll back. So you're fine with it. I just want you to know you can always go down. You can't go up. Any questions on any of that? Okay. The racial equity updates. Really, so you're going to hear in the GOO about the way what we're doing is being received nationally. We're getting a lot of attention, and many of our efforts are really coalescing in some very exciting ways. Things that you may not have connected with racial equity, but as you know, as we have approached the integrated data system, we've always said we have to have a racial equity lens in there, that you have to be careful about the way data gets integrated and shared, because people can construe it in very bad ways if you're not looking at the underlying circumstances that exist behind the data. Also, all of the work that we've been doing in trauma and community, and all of it is coalescing in some really, really exciting ways with policy changes and policy ideas that we are now reaching nationally, being part of think tanks that can generate a lot of attention for Broward and a lot of additional high-powered thinking into our efforts here. I'll tell you a little bit more later, but that's a little taste of it. But in keeping with that, I'm going to try to say this part without crying. As you know, I sent you an email a little earlier that Sandra Bernard Bastian, my partner for 20 years, is going to retire. Happily for her, she'll be basking on the beaches of St. Lucia. So I can't cry for her too much, but she's leaving us behind, and I can cry for that. But I am going to be visiting her, so haha. Her leaving also presents an opportunity. As difficult as it is, when I thought about how do we replace her, and thinking about recruiting someone under the title of Chief Communications Officer, it really does not capture what Sandra does. A longstanding title, but really her work, both within the community, the community engagement work, the role she has played in our racial equity work, the capacity building that has just grown tremendously under her leadership. I couldn't find someone to do those things recruiting for a chief communications officer. So I will be changing the title to Chief Equity and Community Engagement Officer. And we had already approved in the budget creating a director in that department for the training and organizational capacity, but the title will be Director of Equity and Organizational Development. I wanted to tell you first before you saw that hit the paper. And, but now after today, we will be advertising that for the public to know. Tomorrow, we will start advertising to recruit both positions simultaneously. And I'm encouraging anybody out there in the ether, anybody in our organization who's interested in both positions to actually apply for both, so that we don't lose any talent in the mix because someone decides to go one way or the other and then doesn't get one position but might be good for the other one. So for those in the public, please pay attention to that. look for the advertisement to hit tomorrow, and I'm excited. It's breaking my heart that Sandra's leaving, but I'm excited about this opportunity and where we can go with this.
So it takes two people to do her job now. Not surprising, not surprising.
It's going to take a lot more than two,
I
but,
know.
so I know David and Jeff, this is the areas that you've been very active in the capacity building, and so now there will be a director over that as well. And any questions, concerns, comments? Okay. Then, okay, so the next item is a little bit unusual, but has to do with what's going on in our COVID world. Childcare, after-school care are suffering like so many industries about not being able to recruit staff. There are some barriers to recruitment, though, that we may be able to help with. I've been meeting with the Early Learning Coalition. Thanks to Commissioner Furr and Commissioner Rich, we met to look at whether some county ARP funds might be helpful in this endeavor. The early learning itself is actually getting an unprecedented amount of money to both shore up the system and allow for more childcare slots to be paid for. However, that money goes to the state, unlike the county, which is getting it directly, and the school district, which is getting it directly. For our Early Learning Coalition to get its allocation, the state has to decide what to do with the money. In previous allocations, they've been giving it out little chunk by little chunk and dictating exactly how the money can be spent, leaving very little room for creativity at the local level. There was just a change in leadership a week ago at the state level, but we can't tell yet if that's going to make a difference as to the way the money is allocated. We are hoping it will, because indications are that's part of the reason why there was a change in leadership at the state level, but so far we don't know when. Meanwhile, there are some areas that need help. We are swimming against many tides, but trying to attract more people to be interested in working with young children in childcare settings, creating a bigger funnel of possibilities is one thing that seems like it could be helpful, and then helping to connect them with the nonprofits that do our after-school programming, and helping to connect them with the childcare centers. A couple of the barriers that have been raised are also, there are some upfront costs to becoming a childcare worker that may be barriers, especially if you're looking at going into a profession, if you will, that pays so little for entry-level people who are not highly credentialed. Even for the credentialed people, it's not so high. But if you don't have a child development EDA, I forget what the A stands for. But if you don't have that, you're getting paid under $13 an hour. So to try and knock down some of those barriers, perhaps paying some of the upfront costs, like the background screening and maybe some of the training costs, providing some incentives, all of those are things that we're exploring with the Early Learning Coalition. Some of them, it appears, based on a conversation I had with them yesterday afternoon, it looks like they can, within their own budget, come up with the funding and the mechanism for paying the background screening. They are looking for ways to do some of the training themselves with the staff that they have, some of whom are, have the credentials to do this kind of training, and also exploring giving some incentives, spending their money differently to offer incentives for certain trainings to happen sooner. The big concern, as I cited in the issue paper, is they're hiring people who either are not yet background screened or background screenings are not good, but they're waiving it. They're hiring people who do not have training on how to manage a classroom. understand how to discipline a young child, understand ratios, classroom management, all of those things. So one of the things I suggested to the Early Learning Coalition is incentivizing and providing those trainings first, because apparently the way they must take a 45-hour training course, but they have a year to do it, and it doesn't have to be in any specific order. They just have to do it a bunch of modules over the year. So if we can get those front-loaded, that at least we can know that the people in the classroom know what they're doing and are not putting our children's lives in danger, that seems like a plus. So, as I said, normally I bring you a specific, this is where we're going to spend the money, this is how we're going to do an RFP, this is what I know is going to happen. In this case, I feel a sense of urgency that we need to be able to act. I have asked for authority for the money that we have available in that goal. I don't expect to spend anything like that upfront right now. I'm thinking that our role, it seems, is going to be on the recruitment side. And I'd like to be able to talk to M Network about developing some kind of campaign that would make going into this area attractive. ELC has said they'll put together some videos. So if we do the campaign, get them interested, send them to the ELC website, that they will put together some things that say, this is what it's really like to work in a child care center. Here's the good, here's the bad, so that we're getting people who at least have some sense of what they're walking into. Because the other thing we're hearing is people will show up for their first day of work and then go, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. I'm not coming back. That's not really very helpful. So the more we can do to recruit people who really would be interested and get them a little bit of knowledge up front, that's what I'm hoping to do right now. Okay. If there are no questions, then if
Anything else? Sure. When we've had this discussion, if you're thinking needs to be more money, and I think, with the county's money, just for seed money to start it off, if you're thinking this isn't going to be enough, let us know.
so some of the more, there are some ideas that are going to be more money. Some possibilities that we've discussed are, if childcare workers are deemed essential workers, then their subsidized childcare would be paid for.
Right.
So we might need to start that sooner, but they have no idea yet what that would look like. So I couldn't put that forward yet.
Okay. And
There's also the idea of offering some different incentives, which may come into the millions of dollars. So I just couldn't bring that to you at the county or us here, because that's really, I have no clue.
I think both Commissioner Rich and myself, we're happy to bring that forward
Thank you.
when needed.
Yes.
I just know that this is definitely something that's going to be very difficult in the school district. We are having exceptional difficulties dealing with just hiring bus drivers, as well as like our food service workers. Ultimately, what we're finding is we're having to go back and review salaries and what we're offering, as well as potential sign-on bonuses. So just to let you know that those are some of the other techniques that we're looking into.
Thank you. Yes, those are some of the things that we're discussing, and I need to get a sense a little. I know that this amount of money is not going to do that. So we have to understand a little bit more about what the state's going to do and make it sustainable for them, because you're right. It's got to be, ultimately, it's the salary. But if we can at least augment the salary a little with some incentives up front, we're hoping that that will, until we get the big money, make a difference. It's also, people don't want to put their lives at risk now, and things are getting worse. So it's hard to say, yes, you must, when who wants to do that. But but the economy won't work unless people can send their children to school or put them in childcare. So it's quite the conundrum.
So I'm supposed to verify. Is any of this funding going directly to ELC and or career service, or is it?
At this point, no.
No. Okay, right. So we're going to go ahead and take a motion for this.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Any public comments?
No public comment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move to the consent agenda. Anybody on the board that needs to pull any for a separate vote? No. Gary, are you online?
Yes, I am.
Quick question for you. On page 2, E, it's approval for Flight Center YSO contract renewal. I sit on the YSO. Do I need to abstain, pull in and abstain?
Is YSO a private organization or a government agency?
So it's private under, so the funding is given to Flight to kind of oversee this YSO work group. So Flight is really the one getting the funding. It's then being put towards YSO, not specifically for the professionals sitting on it, but for the young adults.
But Flight is a private entity, right? It's not a government agency.
Yes, private.
Yeah, if it's a private entity, you do need to abstain.
Okay.
She doesn't sit on the board of Flight. She's a participant in the project.
Right, but I think that because she's a participant in the project, there's a financial benefit that flows through that contract.
Okay, thank you, Gary. So I'm going to go ahead and pull E, and we'll do that one separately. So can I get a motion to approve under the consent agenda A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, and J?
Second.
Thank you. Any public comments?
No public comment on those items, but there is a public comment for tab Y.
Okay, thank you. Gotcha. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, so moved. Thank you.
Motion to approve item E with Light Center. Tab Y.
Thank you.
But did you want to do, there's public first? Who had
No,
the
we'll do the motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Paula, any public comments?
Yes, I have Selenia that would like to speak to tab Y regarding YSO.
Yes.
I'm going to unmute her mic now.
Perfect. Thank you.
She should be able to talk.
Good morning, Sally. Are you there?
I'm trying to get her, I'm allowing her to talk, but I'm not sure if she's there. She's. She's not here any longer. She just Yeah, I think she was having technical difficulties.
Okay, well, when she, if
I'll
she.
wait for her to log back in.
Yeah. Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And Dawn Liberta abstains. Thank you.
I have her now. Let's see, we'll try
Thank
again.
you. Good morning, Sally.
Sorry,
She
I was
disappeared
having internet issues. I'm so sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess I'm speaking now. My name is Selenia Bahamundi. I'm one of the youth members on the board of YSO. YSO is based upon research conducted over 9 months in 2020 by the Youth Leaders in Action Project. It's important to know YSO of Broward is working together with system professionals to improve the child welfare system and the outcomes of children placed in foster care and youth transitioning to independence. This requires creating opportunities for youth to be involved in the change and providing them with actions to implement it. The key to systematic change is youth organizing. YSO of Broward includes a leadership team of both youth and system professionals that serve as advocates among youth and child welfare agencies responsible for their care. Additionally, our research efforts gather feedback that is used to increase accountability in system policies and practices. We just want to really thank you for your support, and we hopefully do look forward to continuing that with help from CSC. And we would also like to invite you to attend one of our meetings as well. And I just wanted to thank you again for your time today.
Thank you, Sally, and thank you for everything that you're doing to help the child welfare system. Does anybody have any questions for Sally? Okay, thank you so much again. Okay, I'm going to turn it back to Cindy for the good of the order.
Okay, I'm going to try and do this fast because our roundtable is a really important one that I want to make sure you hear. But you must know that ASP was awarded one of 9 summer literacy acceleration grants that were offered in the state, and they were the only one in Broward. They're focusing on rising 2nd and 3rd grade children at Pompano Elementary, Cypress Elementary, and Village Elementary summer camps using the Time Wrap Plus curriculum. So we are doing what we can to improve those literacy rates. Bridge to Life, our Bridge to Life effort, which helps with children filling out the FAFSA form. It's a great collaboration. They were one of 3 $10,000 scholarships to participate in the Florida College Access Network RFP on using data for equitable system changes. Our own Dr. Lolo Benane, who is a CSC Research and Evaluation Manager, is going to be working with staff from Broward College, Broward County Public Schools, and 211 on this year-long project that's going to focus on developing, validating, testing, and implementing system-wide racial equity measures, making sure that we are getting into the communities that need it with, interestingly, yesterday I was on a call with Broward College, which is building their new strategic plan for the coming years. And this issue of access and financial aid was a big part of that discussion. So this should be helpful. The STEP program, you know, that's our lovely summer program for young people with special developmental needs. At the Center for Hearing and Communications, they announced that 3 of their graduates are going to be off to college in the fall. So this is really wonderful. Amar Palmer has been accepted to Broward College. He's going to be studying animal science. Kayla Rivers has been accepted to Gallaudet University and is going to make the transition on August 19th. She wants to study health science with plans to become a physical ed teacher. And Rodrigo Soriano will be attending Atlantic Tech. And now he's trying to decide between studying computer tech or mechanics. So you get to keep him Dr. Cartwright. One of those other wonderful things that we love to celebrate is our youth aging out of foster care. And Flight Center hosted the annual TIL graduation via Zoom on July 22nd. Unfortunately, it was the second year it was held virtually, but it was no less warm, heartfelt, and exciting. This, if you've never had a chance to attend one of these, it's just fabulous. And despite COVID, despite all of the challenges that these young people face, and for those who think someone coming out of foster care cannot succeed, there were a total of 102 graduates celebrated this year. Graduating from middle school, 43 out of high school, 7 got their GED, 14 certification programs, 13 AA degrees, 8 bachelor's degrees, and 3 master's degrees. Pretty impressive group. Congratulations to all of those young people and to all of the agencies that support them along the way, and to Flight for making sure that they get celebrated appropriately. Yay to them. When it comes to creativity, our programs are pretty amazing. So Smith, in their CSC-funded camp, did a boat challenge where the children made actual boats and paddled them in a pool. And there is proof of that on your screen. I never knew that boats could be made from cardboard and tape, but they did it. This is project-based learning at its finest. They had to determine the materials, work in teams, cooperation, use physics, engineering, and they as you can see, got in the boats, they floated, they paddled them, and they paddled them across the pool. This is one of the programs for our children with some behavioral challenges. So having them work together in this way and accomplish this is pretty spectacular. The president of the National Urban League, Mark Morale, was a guest speaker at the Frequency Matters Leadership Program all-class reunion. As you know, he previously served as the mayor of New Orleans, president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and a Louisiana state senator. This is the 4th year that CSC has sponsored this program, and it honors and prepares leaders towards evolutionary practices via learning programs that position game changers to positively impact their culture and community. Sadly, I wasn't able to attend because I had a conflict, but it was, I understand from Sandra, a fantastic speech, and the people who were in the training loved it. Adama Sue and members of the CEOs for Racial Equity, Cornell Cruz, Josie Bacquiao, Renee Jaffe, and Urban League board member Marie Waugh, were invited to present to the local association of fundraising professionals regarding racial equity-centered learning collaborative supporting nonprofit CEOs. Adama again and Sue are dynamic duo, and CPAR parent Tiffany Kazanka, who you've heard before. She is one of the parents that participated in the CPAR work, and she has just been amazing. What a phenomenal find and spokesperson for
She's
our
also part of YSO.
She's everywhere. We found a real diamond there. They're all going to present to the Federal Administration for Children and Families, Office of Planning, Research, and Evaluation at their annual methods meeting. They're going to share essential lessons learned from leading the county-wide equity initiative and the CPAR work to inform federal knowledge and practice of evaluating the social safety net by centering community engagement. Broward's CPAR work will be one of 3 case studies presented at the meeting in October. So as I mentioned earlier, we're getting some national attention. Also, Michelle and Sue again are going to be serving as advisors to Florida Blue Foundation's statewide initiative to develop and implement health equity curriculum and coaching. Based on their 5 years presenting the implicit bias local history workshop to over 5,000 participants, Michelle and Sue were tapped to share their expertise. So they're going to be working with the 3 grantees of Florida Blue Foundation's initiative, United Way of Broward County, Orlando Medical Center, and Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa. Pretty exciting stuff. You will see before you the new family resource guides. And then finally, we have a little video montage to show you that will capture something I know that's near and dear to Commissioner Furr's heart, CEC, the agency that we fund, that's been around for 40 years, has been working hard in the Hollywood-Hallandale area to feed her families, received a fabulous recognition from Memorial Healthcare System that came with a nice check. WPLG has done some water safety spots for us. The YMCA had its STEP commencement at Sawgrass Doubletree, where 60 youth completed a 7-week summer work program, and they were able to work at the Salvation Army, Burlington Coat Factory, Rick Case Honda. A lot of them are securing additional employment. And finally, the Museum of Discovery and Science Fast and Furious Showcase. And pictures are worth 1,000 words, so I'm going to stop talking and let you see the moving pictures.
My name is Nadine McCrae. I live in Washington Park in Hollywood, Florida. When we moved into the neighborhood, there was a mother that knocked on my door. And she did not ask me for money. She asked me for food. She said, "Do you have any food you could give me?" She said, "My kids are hungry." And when I hand her the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, she started screaming with joy. All I know is there was a need. People was hungry. And I created the nonprofit organization, and we call it Community Enhancement Collaboration. We wanted the community involved. We wanted people to know we was enhancing the community.
So CEC has been such a staple here in the city for over 30 years.
CEC reaches thousands of people a week, and over the course of a year, it's over 35,000, maybe 50,000 per year.
She's open every day. She's available every day. She goes to any lengths to make sure folks will have enough food to eat.
Being a good neighbor is seeing to the needs of that neighbor, especially when you know you can help.
I'm at one of my favorite places to be in South Florida, and that's Fort Lauderdale Beach. We're at Lifeguard Tower 6 because we want to talk to you about beach safety. Summer is here, it's hot, and you're of course going to go enjoy the beach. We want to make sure that you're safe when you do so, but first, there's somebody you need to meet. Hey there, Lieutenant Serrano. What do we need to know about being safe on the beach?
Well, first and foremost is we want everybody to swim near a lifeguard tower. We want everybody to come in and check what the lifeguards are flying as far as flag colors. Every lifeguard tower has behind it a sign that tells you what the flags mean.
So when you arrive at the beach, it's a good idea to check in with the lifeguard.
Absolutely. Always go and say hi to the lifeguard. Not only that, the lifeguard towers have numbers on them, front and back. And we want parents to tell the kids, you know, we're sitting by lifeguard tower number 7, because once you go in the ocean, there's always a current. You end up playing around, you end up moving, maybe the wind moves you a little bit.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you are lost, especially if you're a child. That is frightening.
But you gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. You gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. I know it's hard, no it's hard to remember sometimes, but you gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey, hey, hey.
I'm working at Publix for the internship. I'm taking the carts and putting them back, yeah.
They treat me good, you know, very respectful.
They're awesome.
I love working with them. They're just as good as anybody else. They're even better. They're great kids.
They've learned independence, responsibility, finances.
I want to get like my technical bachelor's degree.
I'm using that money to save up for college and a car.
Yeah, I use it for my primary goal is to open up my own business, set up shop. Yeah, because I already gotten a paycheck. I'm going to get a second one at the end of the month, and I'm rich.
I really need this job, so this is like the best job I ever had.
Thank you, YMCA. Yes, thank you, YMCA, for this STEP program.
So I guess on the last one, I failed to point out that while mods provided the space, OIC supported 3 of the B2L digital media interns who participated in workforce development training on careers in digital media, which is like the hottest thing now. The city of Fort Lauderdale funded the college readiness workshops and paid stipends to the B2L, that's the Bridge to Life, student social media ambassadors who supported the OIT interns. 166 people attended the event, including 117 students, 90% of whom completed 2 or more college-going tasks. So we're helping to move them along the way. Those were just snippets of the videos, but the full-length videos are available on our YouTube channel. Check them out. They're really nice. Okay, that concludes my report, Madam Chair.
My apologies, I'm gonna have to step out.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. So we're going to go ahead and move on with the CIO report. Sue?
Hi, good morning. I have an update for you from the Special Needs Advisory. You'll remember 2 years ago, you funded the community assessment for the special needs system of care, and we wanted to provide an update on some of the things that the committees have been working on and making happen as a result of that assessment. So one of the things is we did a recent survey showing that the percent of parents who knew about 211 Broward and the resources increased from the original assessment's finding of 19% to 47%. So the efforts of the Education Awareness Subcommittee are really making a difference in connecting family and their awareness to possible resources. Additionally, the Program and Parent Support Committee has created a list of training topics and trainers for the entire community serving people with disabilities in order to help them more easily access the information and the expertise that they need. The committee has also initiated a advancing racial equity agenda item for the quarterly staff meeting, which has included both training and conversations that are advancing and improving the outcomes for children and families of color in the special needs system of care. The committee is also planning on doing a new survey to address the ongoing opportunities, assets, and needs related to COVID-19 and how families are navigating that. Additionally, the SNAC group has connected with the community resources, including the 911 Special Needs Registry and the Broward County Community Action Agency to better connect families to those community resources. And SNAC has also supported several community events and meetings, include the Broward ESC Advisory Council's annual Parent Resource Fair with 211, an employment task force in partnership with the Broward Transition Interagency Team, the Family Care Council, Area 10, and the Autism Multicultural Collective Initiative. So the SNAC committee is robustly addressing the opportunities created by the assessment that you all funded back in 2018. So with that, I want to thank you and see if there are any questions.
Thank you, Sue. Any questions from the board? Okay, thank you. We're now going to move on for the CCO report. Sandra?
So I'm going to give a verbal report about back to school extravaganza, which was fantastic again this year. We did we supplied 37 organizations with 6,210 elementary filled backpacks, 4,956 secondary backpacks. So we gave out 11,000 backpacks. You funded 8, but we had some leftover from last year because last year was virtual school. Those distributions is like a cobweb across the county in every part of the county. I must thank staff who in fact did a couple of those distributions themselves. Silky and Alexia went to I guess a trailer park of some sort in Davie. Andrew and Danny, this is in good hands. They did a phenomenal job in terms of logistics. The Crockett Foundation did their drive-by. They gave away 2,500 filled backpacks. Jody Sampson and Anitra King, rail troopers from the school board. You know that Jody's my partner in crime on this. She retires in December, but this project will live on. This year, our partner, the Jim Moran Foundation, of course, gave us quite a hefty sum of money, and we brought someone new to the table, which is the Broward Workshop, who gave us a donation of $5,000. They did this in honor of Alan Levy, who, as you well know, was the chairperson of the Broward Workshop. Personally, he was an incredible, kind-hearted gentleman who believed in Handy, who believed in the CSC, and who believed and loved our CEO, Cindy Arenberg-Seltzer. So I don't know if Karine is on the line and wants to say something about the donation and the reason that they felt it necessary to make this donation in his name. Is she there, Key, or no?
I'm looking now. I don't see her here.
So she said she might have been on, so she's not, but just wanted to make sure that you knew that that donation was made in his honor. Another fantastic year. Thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Thank you, Sandra. Any questions? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it back to Cindy.
So behind tab 28, you had 2 months of minutes for the Broward Read for the Record. And I won't bore you by going through it all. At the last meeting, one of the things that struck me, we had two presentations from the school district. One that spoke to sort of the ELA results last year, which third grade reading crashed terribly. There was a drop of 7 points, which it's hard to understand given all all the extra supports that were given to children and the gains that we've made over the years, but that's the way the testing came out. Of course, we know there are issues with who was tested and testing happening. So I don't think this says that our system is collapsing. It just was a bad year. But when we got the presentation on attendance, you saw the correlation. And in fact, Phil Schaefer, who was giving the presentation on attendance, during the meeting figured out how to overlay the two maps. And you really saw where children had excessive absences was where the ELA scores tanked the most. So clearly, I know Dr. Cartwright has her hands full and trying to get students into the classroom, and making up those gains. And of course, we're here to partner in any way that we can with that. But that was a really tough thing to see. On a happier note, Broward Reads is coming up. Our Read for the Record event is coming. It's going to be gorgeous. Amy Wu's Patchwork Dragon, I think we had announced that before. It will be October 28th. Life, who knows? Right now, it's still being planned for the volunteers to be able to go into the classroom and read the books. I don't know. None of us have a crystal ball. I know the schools are going to do everything they can to keep the children in the classrooms. Whether they'll be able to let strangers come in, I don't know. Also, I don't know about you, but I like to read with expression, and facing a classroom of first graders, reading to them with a mask on my face doesn't seem quite as friendly. I don't know if Zoom or Teams will be the better way to go so that they can actually see our faces as we read, but I'm sure we'll figure out a way to make it work, because I know we always have over 1,000 volunteers ready to read, and the books are ordered and they will be in the hands of the children. So we know they'll get the books, and we hope that we'll be reading to them that day. That's it for Broward Reads.
Any questions? Thank you, Cindy. I'm now going to hand it over to Maria for a snack report.
The committee members continue to collaborate to address the general snack co-chairs, Andrea Knowles from Broward Legislative Delegation and Broward Days, school board member. CEO and President of the Advocacy Network for Disabilities presented on the intersectionality of race, gender, and disability.
Can you talk a little more in the mic? People can't hear.
Okay, sorry. How about I just do this for the time being? The CEO and President Diaz of the Advocacy Network of Disabilities presented on the intersectionality of race, gender, and disability. The snack will have a standing agenda item dedicated to advancing racial equity in the special needs community, which Diaz will be leading. In terms of education and awareness, the subcommittee is working on finalizing the 211SN website. And Program and Parent Support Subcommittee compiled a disability training list for Broward County System of Care agencies. The committee collaborated with UM and NSU to provide racial identity in autism workshop. And that's pretty much it for this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Any questions? Thank you. I'm going to hand it over to Maria, another Maria, for the Funders Forum report, please.
Thank you, Dawn. So under or behind tab 30, you have the August 6 Funders Forum draft minutes, and we had a presentation from United Way on their COVID-19 survey, where they received 4,300 responses from Broward County residents. And just to highlight, the survey is attached for your review. So what they highlighted in the survey is information that I don't think will be surprising to you. The concerns for the families who completed the survey was in contracting COVID-19. There were mental health concerns that the families had, non-COVID-19 medical issues, and paying housing expenses. So as a result of that presentation, the Funders Forum had further conversation about the concerns with rental assistance. And there were private foundations that requested to get more information so that they understood if there was an opportunity for them to allocate non-restricted funds to help to create another safety net in addition to what we already have. So we've reached out to Keith Bostick, the Deputy Human Services Director, and Ishmael Martinez with Family Success Center for Broward County, and we're setting up a meeting with them and the private funders, United Way, CSC, to have that conversation in the future. And that was the the main point, the main conversation in Funders Forum.
Thank you, Maria. Any questions?
So, Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Under Sandra's report, we forgot we had a video for the back to school extravaganza. So as our roundtable gets themselves together, if we could show that 2-minute video.
Coming to you to tell you how much we appreciate you and our partners for giving us these wonderful book bags to give to our kids at our book bag drop today. Thank you, CSC, for our lovely book bags.
We are so thankful to CSC, our funders, for making all of this possible.
Thank you. Thank you,
So as we move into the roundtable, that's actually a great segue because a lot of those backpacks were distributed through our after-school programs, elementary, middle, and high. Before we, as the time is coming to re-release our Maximizing Out of School Time, MOST, which is the RFP for the elementary school age after-school programs. You know, we always bring you a roundtable. There are some things that have changed. There is some new information and some guidance and consensus that we'd like to get from the board on this. And I'm going to turn it over to the brilliant staff that oversees this area. Liza, Meg, Jessica, and Joshua.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Meg?
Yes. I'm sorry, I am on a little tiny screen.
So that's Meg Wallace. She's the assistant director who oversees this work. Go, Meg.
Thank you. So we can go ahead and start the PowerPoint.
True.
Thank you. I'm sorry, was there an introduction to the other staff?
I said all of your names. I didn't say their titles, but if you want to say as each of them speaks.
Okay, yeah. Well, this is Liza Khan. She's a senior program manager, and she's going to be talking about the MOST RFP.
Andrew, can you go back one slide? I'm sorry. Thank you so much. So for our maximizing out of school time procurement, we will have 3 different areas. We will have our MOST RFP, the inclusion supports RFP, and the coordinated approach to child health, which is our Catch Kids Club RFP. And we will be explaining each of those as we go along. Next slide, please. So for our most general population, the goal is 7.1, and it's to improve the availability and quality of our out-of-school time programs to promote school success of children living in economically disadvantaged neighborhoods. And our desired outcome for these children is to have a safe, supervised, and fun, productive out-of-school time experience. Next slide. For our special needs programs, the goal is 10.1, and it's to strengthen the continuum of support services for children with special physical, developmental, and behavioral health needs. And our desired outcome for these families and children are to have access to support services and a safe, supervised, and productive out-of-school time experience. So most provides after-school and/or summer programs that are safe, have a positive environment. It enhances academic achievement, supports social and emotional development, and strengthens children's relationships with adults and peers, and also provides the most inclusive and least restrictive environment where all children can be successful. Currently, in our fiscal year 2021, the general population programs are funded for $13.3 million, and our special needs programs are funded for $10.3 million.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jessica Rincon, and I'm a programs manager with the CSC. So we recognize words are important and have an impact on our community. Our intent for an inclusion-based program is to emphasize that inclusion of all children in most after-school programs is a priority. Children who have various developmental disabilities, learning challenges, and special needs have always been included in CSC after-school programs. In changing the language, go back to the previous slide. In changing the language from general population to inclusion, we feel that our intent is better communicated. We also hope it invites providers to consider universal ways of making their programs accessible, adaptable, and accommodating to all populations of children that may wish to attend their programs. Next slide. There are two populations served under this RFP: children with special needs, age 3 and up to including 22 years of age with a documented special need that requires increased supervision, environmental accommodations, or adapted curricula, and also children ages 4 to 12 attending a CSC priority school where 86% or more children qualify for free or reduced lunch.
Oh, Meg, you're on mute.
Okay, now you're on mute and we can't see you.
Okay. I'm sorry about this. I've had internet problems all morning. And I thought I had fixed it. I'm on my little tiny phone, so. Can you see me?
Yes.
You're good now. We can hear
Okay.
you.
Okay. And now I can't see the slide, so. Okay. So currently, MOST is providing services at 47 district schools. Currently, we're not serving any children who are attending charter schools. Not that they weren't on the list before, but no provider has chosen those schools in the past. And we've always included, well, for the last two iterations of MOST, we've included schools where children are attending that have an 86% or more free and reduced lunch. With the new priority school list that we're looking at, including in this RFP, it would have an additional 9 district schools and 9 charter schools. And what we're looking at here is a possible additional funding meeting at approximately $4 million. That would be if every one of these 18 schools came in and wanted to be served. Well, if first off, the provider has to approach the school to determine if it's what they want. So if the school says, hey, we would like to have a MOST program, and they find a provider, then they come in, the provider comes in and applies for that. So that would be if all of these schools chose to be a part of a MOST program.
So for our MOST after school components, they include homework assistance and supplemental academic activities, Spark, which is our physical fitness curriculum, a snack and supper each day, PATS, which is our social and emotional learning curriculum, family engagement activities, cultural arts and enrichment activities. And just some of the supplemental activities that our programs do are STEAM, arts and crafts, literacy, fine motor manipulatives, and chess. And in the summer, we offer the same components, but instead of homework, we do project-based learning that includes STEM, reading, writing, and social studies. And we also add in water safety lessons. Next slide, please. So PATHS is our social emotional learning curriculum. PATHS stands for Promoting Alternative Thinking Strategies, and we've been using PATHS in our most programs since 2008. In 2018, PATHS actually recognized 2 of our after-school programs, which was ARC Broward and the YMCA at Bethune Elementary, for being the first ever PATHS model after-school program. So moving forward in this new RFP, we want to do more advanced training to get more of our most sites to be model schools. So project-based learning, I think it was great that Cindy included this in the GOO. You saw the boats that Smith created, which were their project-based learning lessons. And the trainer actually, our PDL trainer actually went out to the site and was amazed and so impressed by what these kids did. I was amazed watching them float in the water. It kind of gave me a little anxiety that they were going to stay up. But project-based learning is hands-on learning and includes its 5 phases: experience, share observations, process, analyze, and reflect, discover and make connections to life, and the applications. So in these project-based learning lessons, they include all the Florida standards into the lesson. And during their PDL time, they have centers that have a guiding question, and everything is very child-focused. Next slide.
And these are some of our program enhancements that we'll be bringing into the working with the children. So CATCH Kids Club, which is the coordinated approach to child health. In the past, we used a different physical fitness curriculum, and we this year will be using CATCH. CATCH also has a nutrition program that our providers can use. If you could go back 1 slide, please. Sorry. We're also adding music therapy to our special needs population, and that's going to begin this fiscal year, which we're excited to see. And Reading Explorers, which will begin in the school year. This is a group out of FIU who will be coming in during the school year and helping the provider staff in recognizing ways to increase literacy activities into the children's normal day. And then the real highlight is the summer. Because in the summer, they'll be assessing the children in grades K to 2 and assessing if they need additional work, additional help, and then they'll be offering small group tutoring to those children. And thank you.
So for our inclusion supports, in addition to this, which is in addition to this program will provide expertise on best practices to increase our capacity to provide quality inclusive programming. Inclusion supports provides training, assists with policy development, and assesses the individual needs of various after-school sites, as well as provides hands-on technical assistance and coaching. We are also offering a lot of training in addition to the required elements. So youth mental health first aid, racial equity training, special needs specific training, and training for required program components. And over to you, Josh.
Hello, council members. I do apologize. My camera is not working. Of course, that would happen right when you're supposed to present. So hopefully my voice will suffice. You'll see here the CSC research and evaluation team has historically measured performance for most programs in the areas of project-based learning, social interactions, and academics. You can also see that in fiscal years 18-19 and 19-20, the most general population programs collectively met or exceeded their goals. Due to COVID-19, project-based learning, academics, and homework completion were not collected. Similarly, in fiscal years 18-19 and 19-20, most special needs programs also collectively met or exceeded their council goals, with the same caveat regarding measures not collected due to COVID-19. Fiscal years 18-19 and 19-20 for inclusion supports met all performance measure goals for training, coaching, and technical assistance. We anticipate these performance measures to remain the same for this iteration of programming. We are also incorporating learning outcomes in this procurement, as we have with all our most recent RFPs. Learning outcomes helps to facilitate provider voice and their perspectives, while also increasing buy-in with the evaluation process. Agencies are invited to propose measures that they are interested in, which provides an additional and new way of measuring impact. The process engages the expertise of provider staff and helps to strengthen feedback loops between the CSC, our providers, and of course, all the participants that we serve. This supplemental data collection and analysis also helps to promote continuous learning and improvements in service delivery and community conditions. Additionally, the RAP managers for most special needs are piloting an evaluation method for a music therapy component that is currently in progress, which will help inform performance measures for the programs that become awarded through this procurement. Thank you.
That concludes our most roundtable presentation. Thank you so much for allowing us to present this morning. Are there any questions?
Thank you guys so much for the presentation. Paula has a question.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. I know it was technically very difficult, but it was a very good presentation. You had talked about the fact that there was the opportunity for these additional schools, but that they had to be willing, which is a given, but that providers had to select them. So I guess if you could describe that process a little, because I wouldn't want to see those schools and those children, you know, not have that opportunity.
So this is a complicated process which relies on collaboration with the school district, which also may become more complicated, as Dr. Cartwright and I were just discussing, by the introduction of the massive amount of ARP funds that are coming down that specifically say they must be spent on after school and summer. But typically, we let the schools know, we let the principals know that they are included on the list, and we put it in the RFP for the providers to know. And to the extent that we can, we facilitate getting to know each other, but typically the providers will go to the schools and try and create a relationship if they don't already have it. And they must, when they're applying to us, include a sign off from the principal that says, I support their application. The principal can support more than one application for their school, but no provider can get awarded funding to serve a school that does not have a letter from the principal. In the very early years of CSC, before we instituted that, we'd have people get funded for schools and then tell us, oh, the principal doesn't want us here. And so they weren't able to deliver, and we had tied up funding for something that couldn't happen. So the principal has to consent up front for that, to happen.
I just wanted to make sure that that all the principals, you know, that they had whatever assistance they needed with trying to match up with a provider.
So, yeah, one of the discussions that we had with Dr. Wanza earlier in the summer was perhaps going out together to discuss the idea of, you know, whether they would want to run their own program and the opportunities and the pitfalls of that versus a CSC funded, even if the one possibility that I neglected to mention to you earlier is ARP funds, the school district could pass through us, and we could use that to expand the number of schools that get funded, which is something we can discuss further later. But I believe right now we're scheduled, that meeting didn't happen with us jointly presenting, but I believe, and Maria, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that we were invited to present to one of the principals' meetings.
Yeah, so we're working to present. We've asked to be on the agenda for the September principal meeting, elementary school principal meeting.
Are the charter school principals included in those meetings as well?
No.
So, and that it would be great if we could identify how to get on the charter school principal meeting.
And I'm staring at Mr. Wood right now, making that request.
Yeah, I'm happy to help with that, and thank you for bringing that up to everyone's attention today, Dr. Jacques. This is a huge area of importance. Thank you for that presentation. If I could get a copy of it, the presentation would be very helpful. I'm willing to help in any way we can. And this is obviously a big area with a quarter of our budget being allocated to this.
Thank you. Yes, we will take you up on that. And we'll get the presentation out to everybody. Amy will send it this afternoon. So the other thing, as they pointed out, we had some discussions about whether or not to change the 86% or more free and reduced lunch because it widens the parameters, or it widens the pool so much. My thinking about it is there's never a guarantee that every school is going to get funded. I mean, not everybody will apply, as they said, and even so, some people don't get funded at times. There also may be ways to stretch the money further. And then finally, I do expect that we will have more money that we could put into after school if you so choose. We had kind of foreshadowed that earlier, that this may be an area that needs additional funding. Remember, this would not be for the coming school year, it's the next school year and after. As the CRA funds that we have to pay start going away, that will free up some dollars that we can put into after school and other things. Hard to know until the requests come in, and surprising as it may be, some principals may say no for a very good reason. They like to run their own program, they already have other things there, whatever it may be. They may not want to start with somebody new. But usually matches can be made. I can't think of a case where a school didn't get an after-school program because no provider was interested in providing it. Principal may not want them, but somebody will go after any school that's available.
Thank you. Yes.
Madam Chair, I apologize. I do have to leave early today. However, I did want to give clarification, if possible, to a different topic. Is that allowable?
Yes.
Just to answer the question related to volunteers, I wanted to let you be aware that the volunteers, as always, as we've done in the past, need to coordinate with the school as well as the teacher, and to go through our standardized process, with the volunteer application process that we've always used in the past. And that please remain flexible, only because we are in the middle of a pandemic. While right now it's allowable, it may shift, from time to time during the year.
Just to reassure you, Lori Canning is the person who organizes this on the school board side. Everything goes through the school system. Hands-on Broward gets the registrations and works with the district to assign where you say it's okay for them to be assigned. The only question is whether you'll let it, at that time, given the state of health, we recognize, and we're putting out to anybody who would volunteer, it could change.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate that understanding.
Sure.
Thank you, Dr. Cartwright. Any other questions for the presenters? Okay.
Ms. Donnelly, I believe, would like to speak. Good morning, everybody. Yes, thank you, Amy. Could you please clarify for me the why we went from 0 charter schools, or how we went from 0 charter schools to 9? I'm just curious because I'm glad we have, but what was that process? Are they asking for the after school programs?
We always look at who's on the list of the 86% or more free and reduced lunch. There were some charter schools on the list before. None of them either wanted it or matched with a provider. They never applied. That's why we're not funding any. But in the review now, as children are shifting, more of the charter schools landed on the list of 86% or more free and reduced lunch. So we still don't know if they will apply, but they've just landed on the list. I think we had 2 before, was it, Meg? 2 on the list, and now it's 9, or was it more?
That's very
Yes.
telling in itself.
Sorry. I think we had 3 before.
Went from 3 to 9,
To
Kevin.
9.
Okay, yeah, that's where I thought we were going. So that's very sad, but I'm glad we're offering the opportunity. Thank you.
But keep in mind also the regular public schools, when 9 new schools fell into this as well.
Right.
The free and reduced, I do have to say that free and reduced lunch, capturing those numbers last year was really bad, difficult. So it's hard to say if that really means that finances went down that much, or that in the shakeup, with the new child tax credit, with the economy coming back, I don't know that things will remain as dire as they appear when you think of 18 new schools coming on the list. But that's the best data that we had to draw on when coming up with the RFP now. Does that make sense? You know, they weren't capturing a lot of information around that would normally qualify people for free and reduced lunch. And some people didn't apply that could have because they were getting free food anyway. There was a lot of confusion around this area.
I'd like to see the 70% if we could, just to see how many more schools we would capture.
Sure. A lot. Almost everybody, I think. But we can get that to you. Meg, in case you didn't hear,
yeah,
I'd like to see 70% or more free and reduced lunch schools. How many more that would be?
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, I will go ahead and take a motion to.
I'm sorry. There was one question in the chat
Mhm.
that we wanted to make sure was on the record, that there was a question about whether there's still an incentive for the 5-hour DCF literacy training. That was an incentive offered by the state campaign for grade level reading, and they're still offering it through the summer. So that's the way that works. It was not a CSC provided incentive. And then one other unfortunate piece of news, not related to any of that, Tom Power's sister passed away the other day. She'd been in bad health for quite a while. She had a heart transplant. I'm not sure what the cause of death was, but he had posted that on Facebook. So I know it's public information if anybody wants to reach out.
Thank you, Cindy. Forgot to mention that. And of course, our thoughts and prayers are with Tom and his family. Seems like a horrible thing to end on. I know, I'm sorry. That's okay. I know. No, I appreciate it. So I will take a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Everybody, we'll see you in a few weeks. Or the trim here.
Recording stopped.